Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to cover the Vision IAS current affairs. Now please understand, this is not the official YouTube channel of Vision IAS. So what I am doing, I am just taking the index of daily Vision IAS current affairs and then I'm compiling the news accordingly. Apart from Vision IAS, I have added a few articles from Drishti IAS as well. Now this from this daily compilation I am just creating this weekly, and then subsequently there will be monthly magazine. So if you are following this particular series, then ultimately you will be covering both Vision IAS as well as the Drishti IAS magazine. And then before prelims, basically PT 365 is released. So technically, if you are following this series, you will be able to revise it much before its release. That's the plan. Now let's start. So in this video we are going to cover the first week of July 2026. Okay, now let's start with the polity and governance section. In polity and governance, first news is related to the food safety in India. So 2-3 important things. A, for food safety we have FSSAI. What is FSSAI? It is Food Safety Standards Authority of India. It is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Okay, why it was in news? Because of certain regulations. Now understand, in our country the food safety regulations are not that much strict, and that's why there are a lot of issues. One such issue is excessive use of antibiotics, and because of that there is a risk of antimicrobial resistance. Let me just give you one basic example. Let's say antibiotics are given to animals, and then we are consuming the products from those animals. So there is a high risk of antibiotic resistance in our body because constantly we are consuming those antibiotics. So over a period of time our body will be resistant to those antibiotics, and when required it will not be able to provide the desired result. So that is one problem. In this background, this entire issue was in news. So as far as FSSAI is concerned, it is Food Safety and Standard set up through Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006. Now, as per accidental death and suicide in India report, again you need not to mug up this data, but you need to understand the severity of the problem. So as per this, roughly 1000 deaths were because of the food poisoning. Now what does that show? That the food regulation is not that much strict in our country. In the state food safety index, nearly 75% of the states and union territories, they scored below the 50, that is below the average score of 50. That simply shows that the food safety regulations are not that much strict in our country. Okay, now in this context we have already covered the risk of AMR, that is antimicrobial resistance. For example, you might have seen a lot of controversy regarding the use of eggs and regarding the use of milk as well. Fake paneer, fake milk, fake eggs, everything is there. In this context, recently one more issue was there. So various European countries, basically they imposed restrictions on the exported product from India. So on what ground they imposed restriction? That Indian products, they are not having that much hygienic standard. That is one thing. Apart from that, they are not following the technical requirements. Last year also our spices were restricted in various countries, again on the technical grounds. So why it is happening? Again, the entire issue is because of lack of proper safety guidelines or lack of proper implementation of these guidelines. Now in this context, one more term is there, and that is front of the pack warning label. What does that mean? In a very simple sense, whenever you are purchasing a packet, so usually you will see that the details are given on the back side. This guideline system basically says that you need to show that thing on the front side of the packet, so that whenever anyone try to purchase a packet, the first thing that they should see is those details of that what it constitutes. This way they will be able to make a informed choice whether they should buy it or not. So that is the entire issue. Next is related to ease of living. So in that context, various government initiatives were in news because over a period of time, due to these government initiatives, the living standards have improved. Okay, in that context, for example, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is there. Then there is Jan Vishwas Act, which basically focus on improving the ease of doing business in our country and focusing on the decriminalization of various rules and regulation. Then we have a public grievance portal, which is by Ministry of Administrative Reforms. Apart from that, for better infrastructure, we have PM Gati Shakti. So these are some of the government initiative. Again, you need to remember the name of the scheme. From a mains perspective, you just need to remember the schemes and what is their core objective. Next topic is related to shift towards whole of the government approach in the governance. Now let me just give you the brief background of this. See, understand one thing. The biggest problem with the government is that there is a lack of coordination. For example, just for the transport sector, we have 4 ministries. We have Road Transport Ministry, we have Ministry of Civil Aviation, we have Rail Transport Ministry, and we have Ministry of Ports and Shipping. 4 ministry for one single sector, that is transport. So what happens is that sometimes there is a lack of coordination. So to deal with this problem, government is now saying, okay, this is important thing. Now let's have a discussion together so that we can look at this problem in a holistic way, and we can provide a solution by coordinating with each other. That approach is basically referred as whole of the government. That simply means, in a very simplified sense, entire government, the problem is considered from the all ministries perspective rather than thinking it from the perspective of one single ministry. Next news is related to the strategic roadmap for making Ayurveda global. So in that context, recently Niti Aayog released a report that we have to make Ayurveda global. Right now, majority of Ayurveda practitioners or Ayush practitioners, they are practicing within India. So the document basically talks about the global outreach, that how we have to improve the global outreach. Please remember one thing, that Ayurveda is now recognized or now considered in WHO's ICD. What is ICD? International Classification of Disease Module for Traditional Medicine. So the Niti Aayog has recommended that there should be a concept of Ayush Visa. In a very simple sense, it says that we need to simplify the process of arriving in India for these Ayush related developments. For example, if someone want to register themselves, if someone want to follow these practices, and if someone want to visit India, so Ayush visa can be granted to them in a simplified manner. Next is right to legal representation. Now understand, recently there was a controversy related to the Ayodhya temple, that the money has been stolen. In that context, various bar association has said that okay, we are not going to represent those people who are accused in this case. So in this context, you need to understand one thing, and the thing is that right to be basically represented by a legal practitioner. In a very simple sense, that is a fundamental right under Article 22. Apart from that, there is Article 39A, which says that there is a provision to ensure access to the justice. Now understand, Supreme Court in its various judgment has said that these kind of announcement by the bar associations, they are not valid, and they do not have any sanctity, in a very simple sense. So why this was in news? Because of Ram Temple embezzlement case, the Faizabad Bar Association said that okay, we are not going to represent the people who are accused in this case. That's why this entire controversy was in news. Now in this context, understand one more thing. We always say that it is not only about justice, how justice is done, that need to be seen. So if you are not giving someone the right to have a legal counsel, in that case, basically, we are actually compromising the entire process of justice, because it is not only about justice, it is about how it is being done. Was it being done in a fair and transparent manner? So this is the case M. Rafi versus State of Tamil Nadu. In that, Supreme Court ruled that the bar association resolutions, such type of bar association resolutions, they are not valid, and they are actually null and void. Next news is related to Legal Metrology Act 2009. Now understand, let's say you want to purchase sugar, and you went to the shopkeeper and said, okay, I need 1 kg sugar, and it is not packaged one. So basically the shopkeeper provided you 1 kg, but how you are going to be sure, because it is not packaged one, how you are going to be sure that you were given 1 kg? For that process, this act is there. So basically, recently the Department of Consumer Affairs amended the rules related to this, and it has reduced the verification cost, and this was done to promote the ease of doing business. In a very simple sense, someone from the government department will go to the shop to verify that the weight which they are using to represent 1 kg, are they actually 1 kg or not? What if What if the weight that is written on that particular weight, if it is written, let's say 1 kg, and what if they are having the weight of 950 gram? So technically that is a loss of customer. 50 gram is a loss of customer. So to make sure that things are as per the rules and regulation, this act is there. So it governs the calibration and the stamping of the instrument. For example, let me give you another example. Let's say you went to a fuel station and said that, okay, I need 1 liter of petrol. Now how you are going to be so sure whether they are going to provide you 1 liter or not? Because yes, there is a meter. How you are going to be sure that the meter is working as per the rules and regulations? This is the act through which the government officials are going to verify whether these meters or these measurements are working properly or not. Now government is saying that, okay, the verification cost for this entire process is going to be lower, so that we can promote the ease of doing business. That is the entire issue. Next news is related to the right to vote. Now understand, in this case various issues were there. So first is related to the appointment of the Chief Election Commissioner. In this case, understand, there was a demand to recognize the right to vote as a fundamental right. Please remember, it is not a fundamental right as of now. So it is a constitutional right derived from Article 325 and 326. Apart from that, there are various statutory provisions. It is regulated by Section 62 of RPA. What is RPA? That is Representation of People Act 1951. Now this is a case in which the Supreme Court basically provided the guidelines for the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner. In this case, the court also recognized the right to vote as a constitutional right. So two important things. Is it a constitutional right as of now? Yes, as per the Supreme Court verdict, it is. But is it a fundamental right? That is being demanded that it should be declared as a fundamental right. Now why it was in news? Understand, in the context of SIR. So through SIR, whenever we are saying that, okay, there are number of voters are deleted, technically the argument is that whenever someone's name is deleted from the voter list, technically we are snatching the right to vote. A right which was supposed to be a fundamental right is being snatched. In that background, this entire issue was in news. So these were the important polity related current affairs from the first week of Vision IAS current affairs. Now we are going to cover the IR section. In IR, first is related to Indo-Japan Annual Summit. So the summit held in New Delhi. Again, nothing much is there in this case. Basically, there was a joint declaration on the economic security. Apart from that, there is a biogas initiative Japan is going to invest into India. So rest of the things are quite static. Next is related to Nord Stream pipeline. Now understand this thing. First thing first, this is the pipeline. Okay, in a very simple sense, it connects Russia to Germany. And why this pipeline was in news? So there was a case. What was the case? Case was that there was a blast in this pipeline. Now the German prosecutors have accused Ukraine authorities of ordering the 2022 explosive attack on the pipeline. In a very simple sense, this was the pipeline which connected Russia to the Germany. So German economy is heavily dependent on the gas, and therefore it is heavily dependent on the pipeline, this pipeline. Now they found that the 2022 explosion was a planned one. As per the German authorities, this was a planned one. So that is why this was in news. This is a major gas pipeline which connected Russia and Germany, and it is passing through Baltic Sea. Now this is the location, geographical location of Baltic Sea. This is Russia, and this was the place of explosion. Understand, after this entire issue of Nord Stream gas pipeline, the German economy is facing a lot of problems. Energy prices has increased, and subsequently there was problem in the entire economy. Next news is related to 250 years of US independence. So we have covered this in the PIB current affairs as well, that US is celebrating 250 years of independence. US is the oldest democracy in the world. India is the largest democracy in the world. Rest of the things are quite static, nothing current in terms of current affairs. Next news is related to US Indo-Pacific Command. They announced it to restore the name to US Pacific Command. Now let me simplify this entire issue. Okay, this is Indian Ocean, this is Pacific Ocean. As far as India is concerned, we want to focus from here. This is India's perspective. Okay, as far as US is concerned, US want to focus on this region more. Why US want to focus more on this region? Because of China. So basically they want to counter China, and that's why they wanted to use India in this entire thing. And that's why they basically focused on this region, and that was a policy. The policy was pivot to Asia. This was a policy of US administration. Now over a period of time they are going back to the previous stage. Now have a look at this news. US Indo-Pacific Command, so this is Pacific, this is Indian Ocean. Indo-Pacific Command announced to restore its name to US Pacific Command. In a very simple sense, now they are saying that we will focus more on this part. We don't want to focus on this part. Why they want to focus more on this part? Because technically they want to counter China, and keeping that context in mind, it was in news. Next news is related to Indus Water Treaty. So understand, in case of Indus Water Treaty, India had put it in abeyance after the terror attack by which was sponsored by Pakistan. So in that context, this was in news. Please understand, as of now, this is still suspended. This was signed in 1960. World Bank played a key role in this. The Eastern River, that is SRB, they are for India, Western are for Pakistan. Of course, India can use the water of these western rivers as well without basically tempering the flow. That means we can use it, but we cannot consume it in that much quantity. For example, we can use it for electricity generation. Now, as far as IWT is concerned, please understand one more thing. There is a dispute resolution mechanism. For that, there is a permanent Indus Commission, then there is a neutral expert, and then there is a court of arbitration. Recently, it was in news because Pakistan directly approached COA, and there was a verdict by COA, that is Court of Arbitration. India said that we don't accept the verdict of COA. Why so? Because in parallel, there is a neutral expert which is working on this entire issue. So first, we will go through this route, and then only we will go to third stage. This is third stage, this is second stage. So that is why it was in news. Next is related to Mali. So it was in news because of the inaugural, that is first Indo-Mali Forum for the Promotion of Export. So we just want to explore these countries. So this is the geographical location of Mali, and this is African continent, and it is a landlocked country, as you can see from the map, and it is part of the Sahel region of the West Africa. So this orange color, this represents the Sahel region of Africa. Next news is related to India-Israel bilateral investment agreement. We have already covered it in PIB, so nothing new is there. Next is related to Global Passport Index. So as for this index, India is on 125th position, and it is published by Global Citizens Solutions. So these are three important details from this. Next news is related to Norway Sea. So basically, US fighter jet intercepted a Russian patrol aircraft. Now understand the geographical location. This is Norway Sea, this is UK. Technically they are saying they have intercepted someone from Russia, intercepted aircraft from Russia in the sea. Now as far as coming to this Norwegian Sea is concerned, this is a sea of Arctic Ocean. Next news is related to Sudan. So basically the capital of Sudan is Khartoum. Why it was in news? It was in news because of the conflict, and that is why the problem of severe hunger is there. Now the capital, that is Khartoum, that is on the confluence or on the convergence point of the two major rivers, that is Blue Nile and White Nile rivers. So this is Sudan. It shares a border boundary with the Red Sea. This is Red Sea, and this is the capital of Sudan, that is Khartoum. This is Blue Nile River, and this is White Nile River. This is Lake Tana, and this is Lake Victoria. There is a dam on this Nile River, and that dam is GERD Dam. Now this dam project is basically opposed by countries like Egypt. So they are saying that it will adversely impact the flow of water. Okay, with this we have covered the IR related current affairs. Now coming to the economy section. So in economy, first is related to reforms. Now understand, we are a developing country. We want to be a developed country. For that we need high economic growth. For that we need reforms. So this is talking about those reforms only, that we have to make sure that we are providing right kind of business environment so that we can have a sustained growth of 8% or more. Traditionally, India has struggled from the problem of low growth rate, that is 3 to 4% of GDP growth rate, which is known as Hindu rate of growth. Please remember, it is about GDP growth. It has nothing to do with the population. Now, why the term was given? Because Indian economy was growing at a slow pace. This term was given by Professor Raj Krishna. Next is related to SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goals. So in that context, two reports are released. One is at global level and one is India specific. Global and India. Now, whenever we have to create a report, basically we need certain parameters. Those parameters are basically referred as NIF. What is NIF? National Indicator Framework. Who has prepared this indicator framework? That is prepared by MOSPI. What is MOSPI? That is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Okay, now let's discuss this news. So MOSPI recently celebrated the 20th Statistics Day, which is celebrated on 29th of June. Why 29th of June? Because it is the birth anniversary of Professor P.C. Mahalanobis. He is considered as the father of Indian statistics, and the theme of the 2026 day was unlocking the potential of administrative data. That simply means how to use data for the policy making. Now, if you know that in planning, basically there is a concept of Mahalanobis model which emphasized on heavy industrialization. So the second 5-year plan is basically based on the idea of Mahalanobis model only. Okay, now to track the progress of sustainable development goals, we have Niti Aayog, which prepare a list, or SDG India Index, which is being prepared by Niti Aayog. As far as SDG is concerned, first is poverty, zero poverty. Now in that context, please remember one thing, that the multidimensional poverty is now 14.96%. This is as per Niti Aayog report of multidimensional poverty index. One more thing, the national indicator framework, which is crucial for tracking our performance as far as SDG are concerned, that utilizes 277 national indicators. Next is Kisan Sarthi platform. In a very simple sense, it is about providing information to the farmers. So for that, two ministries, that is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and Ministry of Agriculture, they have collaborated. Next is related to road safety. So in that context, there was a report of road accident in India. Now understand the severeness of this problem. India accounts for 11% of the global road fatalities, that is death because of a road accident, with just 1% of the world's vehicles. That means we have less vehicles in comparison to in a percentage sense, and we have more accidents if we compare it to the world share. Next is related to India's first bullet train corridor. So that is going to be between Mumbai and Ahmedabad. So that is near completion. In this case, the funding is provided by JICA. What is JICA? Japan International Cooperation Agency, and the train is inspired by the Japanese Shinkansen model. Now in this case, understand this is name of bird, so the design of the train is inspired from that. This concept is basically referred as biomimicry. That simply means we are learning something from the nature and then we are applying it in our life. Next news is related to World Bank income classification. So basically World Bank provides the classification of countries on the basis of income and on the basis of GNI per capita via the Atlas methodology. Now let's have a look at this thing. So from 2026, that is for 2027, that is for upcoming duration, those countries whose per capita income is less than $1175, they are low income country. Those countries whose per capita income is from 1176 but less than 14375, they are middle income countries. Middle income countries. India is in this lower middle income country categorization, and countries like Sri Lanka, they have recently shifted, or they are now part of upper middle income countries. So 2-3 important things: A, 1175 and 14375. If you see 14375, just remember this word. In this case, if you will change it to 1, so that will be 1175, that will be lower income countries. Okay, now as far as India's per capita income is concerned, it is roughly 2500. So we are still in this category. Countries like Jordan, Micronesia, Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam. They have moved from lower income countries to middle income countries. Next is related to Maritime Development Fund. So we have already covered this entire issue in detail in last month current affairs. Just go through that, that why India is focusing on the maritime sector, what we are doing for the shipbuilding sector, what we are doing for the ship recycling sector, and what we are doing for the maritime insurance sector. So in that context, 25,000 crore corpus fund is set up for the maritime investment. Next is integrated ombudsman scheme. Again, nothing new is there. We have already covered it multiple times that there is going to be a single ombudsman. Ombudsman basically means you can complain to this authority. For example, you are having a problem with the bank is not listening, so you can complain to the ombudsman. Next is related to insurance surety bond. So in that context, as the name suggests, let's try to understand it this way. If I say that there's a guarantee that this question will be asked in UPSC 2027. Okay, I'm giving you this guarantee. Let's consider this example. I'm giving you this guarantee. I'm saying, let's say that if this question won't be asked, I will pay you 10,000 rupee. Okay, for that purpose, I have purchased a insurance. So in this case, the keyword is surety. Now, if that does not happen, so insurance company is going to pay. Surety basically means insurance surety bond basically means insurance company is giving you guarantee that this will happen. If that does not happen, then they are going to compensate you. Now let's have a look at this news. So the coal block allocation rules enable the use of ISB in the place of performance bank guarantees. In a very simplified sense, you have applied for a coal block and insurance company is giving you a guarantee that you will get it. For that, of course, you need to purchase that insurance. For that, you need to pay the premium. Okay. Now, if you don't get that coal block, then in that case, you will be compensated by the insurance company. That is the entire news. So it is a financial guarantee issued by the insurance company that compensate the government, in this case government, if the contractor or allocatee fail to meet the contractual obligation. As I said, that if I'm saying that okay, this question will be asked, and if it is not asked and I had purchased this insurance, so that insurance company is going to pay me the compensation, and subsequently that will be passed on to the student. Next is related to DSR. What is DSR? Understand, because of El Nino, there is a water stress. We cannot follow the practices which require huge amount of water. So in that context, DSR is a practice of rice seeding in which some high amount of water is not required. So this is the transplanted rice. In this case, water requirement is high, and this is the DSR. Basically, in this case, there is a direct seeding of rice. So in this case, seeds are shown directly in the field, eliminating the nursery raising. It also reduces the methane emission. Now please understand one thing. When it comes to methane is short-lived in comparison to CO2. But the global warming potential of methane is much higher than CO2. And now we are going to cover the security related topics. So first is related to Project Unicorn. So as a part of this Project Unicorn, India and Japan, they are going to co-produce, or that is going to be joint co-production of the Unicorn mast. So that is used in the Indian Navy warship. Now what is this Unicorn mast? First thing first, it is also known as Nora 50. Okay, and it will be manufactured by BEL. Now let's have a look at this Unicorn mast. So what is the full form of Unicorn? It is Unified Complex Radio Antenna. In a very simple sense, it is radio antenna. That's it. That is all you need to remember as of now. And we are co-producing it by collaborating with Japan. Next is related to Project Brahmank. So basically, this is a project of BRO, and BRO is celebrating its 16th raising day. BRO focus on infrastructure development in the border areas. Next is related to Defense Acquisition Council. So this council is chaired by the Union Defense Minister, and it is basically approval authority for the defense acquisitions. In that context, it was in news. So recently, it approved the acquisition of Akash Tarang, MRSAM, and V-SHORADS. So what is V-SHORADS? It is man-portable air defense system. Air defense system basically, man-portable basically means I can carry it on my shoulders. Of course, it is going to be slightly heavy, but that is the point. Man-portable means it can be taken from one place to another place by someone, by our ground soldiers. It can be moved. So that is one thing. This MRSAM is medium range surface to air missile, which we are developing with Israel. And then there is Akash Tarang. So it is anti-UAV electronic warfare system. In a very simple sense, UAV is nothing but a drone, unmanned aerial vehicle. What is UAV? It is unmanned aerial vehicle. So in a oversimplified sense, it is nothing but a drone. So if let's say there is a drone, so how we will be able to counter that drone? For that we have this Akash Tarang. Next is artificial intelligence in modern warfare. Okay, so basically we are using technology in modern warfare. In that context, there is one term, that is Minotaur warfare. In that, what is happening? AI and human commanders, they are collaborating with each other in the warfare. So Indian security forces are also using similar kind of tools. For example, we are using predictive intelligence system. What is predictive intelligence system? Let me give you very brief. Predictive basically means we are trying to predict what will happen. For example, there is a let's say there is a data that this area is quite prone to infiltration. So we are using the predictive data set. Simply means we are using past data to predict the future patterns. So this is adversary network analysis tool. Anant is there, Project Seeker is there. They are nothing but predictive analysis tools. Next is related to Mahendragiri stealth frigate. Now understand three things. A, this has been built by Majgaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited. This is part of Project 17A. And this is indigenous stealth frigate. Now what is the use of frigate? See, we have aircraft carrier. In a very simple sense, aircraft carrier is a big ship which can carry aircraft, okay, but it is quite big, and therefore enemy can attack it. And since it is very big, it cannot move immediately. To protect those big ship, we have frigates. So basically, it is going to act as a protection or act as a shield. It is smaller in size, therefore it can move rapidly, and therefore it can be used for the protection of the aircraft carrier. With this, we have covered the security related current affairs. Now coming to the science and technology related current affairs. First is related to I2C submarine cable system. In a very simple sense, this is a cable system. So a consortium of companies such as Microsoft, Singtel, Tata Communication, they are going to work on the submarine cable. These are the cables through which internet data is being transmitted. And this works on the principle of TIR. What is TIR? Total internal reflection. Next is related to amendment in the guidelines to ensure the uniform regulation of advanced cell and gene therapy. Now understand, in a very simplified sense, now for these therapies, CDSCO approval is required. So what is CDSCO? It is Central Drug Standards Control Organization. It is under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So basically now these kind of therapies require the approval of CDSCO. That is the news. Next is related to AI hallucination. Hallucination, in a very simple sense, AI is going to create the fake scenarios, and then it is going to talk about the problems in those fake scenario. Let's say you said that, okay, provide me the most important details of the Vision IAS monthly current affairs. So it is going to provide you kind of information which is not there in the magazine, and then it will convince you that it is there in the magazine, and it will give you a random page number as well. That is nothing but hallucination. Next is related to strawberry moon. So understand why it is referred as strawberry. It is not that it look like that. It does not. Basically, it is a full moon appearing in the month of June. So how is it connected to strawberry? Because in North America is the time of ripening of the wild strawberries. So basically in past they used to think that, okay, because of this moon these strawberries are ripening, and that's why the name. Next is related to battery management system. So you might have seen a lot of videos on social media that someone is using a mobile phone application to control these battery driven rickshaw. That was possible because these batteries are operated through the apps. That simply means they can be controlled through these apps. That's why a lot of people created a problem for these battery rickshaw drivers, and that is why the government issued notice to the app developers and these platforms that do not allow the installation of these kind of apps. So government directed that takedown of apps associated with BMS over the reports of remote misuse to switch off e-rickshaw. In a very simple sense, these BMS apps, what is BMS? Battery management system. So they are able to control the lithium ion battery which is there in the rickshaw. Next is AI for Good Global Commission. So the founders of various Indian companies such as Reliance Industries, or heads of, to be specific, it will be a more appropriate term, head of Reliance Industries and Bharti Enterprises, they were named as the founding members of this commission. Now this is led by ITU. What is ITU? International Telecommunication Union. It is a United Nations agency. Next is related to Sol ground test. So understand, ISRO is working on the Gaganyaan mission, and for that purpose they conducted this Sol ground test. What is the full form of Sol? That is suborbital launch vehicle for experiment. In a very simple sense, it is experimental project for the success of Gaganyaan. And first we are going to send a robot, and the name of the female robot is going to be Vyom Mitra, and subsequently after the success of this we are going to send the human being. Next is related to Hayabusa mission. So it is a mission of Japan. It is a flyby mission. Flyby basically means it is go and fly around that asteroid, and it actually had collected the samples from the asteroid Ryugu in 2020. There is a similar mission by NASA, that is OSIRIS-REx, that had collected the samples from the asteroid Bennu. Next news is related to Large Hadron Collider. Now understand, let me just give you a very brief about this. Large basically means it is quite large in the sense in terms of size. Collider basically means we are going to collide the particle. What is hadron? Let's understand that. So basically there are two important things that you need to know. One is bosons and one is fermions. Bosons is like a force, just like a cement. Okay, it combines the particles. Fermions are the basic thing through which particles are made up of. So fermion is just like brick. Okay, now let's have a look at the classification of fermion. Within fermion there can be leptons. In a very simple sense, they can live alone. Any example? Yes, electron is there, neutrino is there. Then there is quark. Quark are basically found in group. Okay, and several quark, they make hadrons. This is the hadron which we are talking about. Okay, now within this there are subcategories as well. For example, two up quark and one down quark. One down quark, they make the proton. Two down quark and one up quark, they make the neutron. So that is the entire classification. Now coming back to this original experiment. So as the name suggests, in this what we are colliding the hadrons. Why we are colliding? So that we can understand what will happen after the collision, so that we can understand how this entire universe came into existence. Okay, now we are going to have donut shape like this. Actually the picture should be ideally like this. So this is pipe. Okay, in this pipe we are going to have these particles. They are going to collide with each other, and then there will be kind of simplified sense kind of blast. Then we are going to understand, okay, how our universe was evolved. So why this was in news? Because now we are going to keep it suspended for next 3-4 years to upgrade this entire project. Why we are upgrading? So that we can have more number of collisions. So after upgradation it will have roughly 10 times more collision. That is the entire concept of this LHC, Large Hadron Collider. Collider basically means we are colliding the particles. What kind of particles? Hadrons. Because we are doing it in a large scale, so that is why the term large. Now where it is, understand, it is on the boundary of France and Switzerland border, and it discovered the Higgs boson particle in 2012. CERN, that is European Organization for Nuclear Research, they had announced that they are going to upgrade it into high luminosity LHC. In a very simple sense, they are going to upgrade it so that we can have more number of collisions. That is the entire issue. Next is related to E. Merlin radio array. So understand 2-3 things. The astronomers discovered the supermassive black hole using this radio array. There is a term telescope, there is a term observatory, and there is a term black hole, and then there is a E. Merlin radio. Telescope basically means through which we are going to see. Observatory basically means the place where telescope is there. Black hole is a place where gravity is so strong that nothing can escape from it. Since nothing can escape from it, that's why light cannot escape, and that's why it appear black. Now this is in UK. This observatory or this telescope is in UK. Now we are going to cover the environment current affairs from the July first week. So first is related to the foundation day of ZSI. What is ZSI? It is Zoological Survey of India. It was established in 1916. The headquarters is in Kolkata in West Bengal. Next is related to Delhi government. So basically Delhi government launched a new electric vehicle policy in which they are going to subsidize, or they are going to provide subsidy for electric vehicle, but not for the hybrid vehicle. Hybrid vehicle basically means those who have the features of ICE as well as of EV. This is related to Gitchak Nakana. So understand, this is first blind aquifer dwelling fish in northeast India. Just have a look at this fish. So this is the color of fish. Now it appear to be red in color. Why so? Because there is no skin color, it is translucent. So what we can see is the blood vessels of this fish. This was found in Assam, and Gitchak is nothing but it simply means red. Nakana basically means the blind fish. So now you should be able to understand the name. Next is UN Sustainable Development Report. So it talks about the progress in SDG. What is SDG? Sustainable Development Goals. Previously we had MDG, Millennium Development Goals. So from 2000 till 2015 we had MDG. Then from 2015 till 2030 we are going to have SDG. There are 17 goals, 169 targets. The concept of sustainable development was given by Brundtland Commission in its report Our Common Future. Okay, as far as India is concerned, so in that case Niti Aayog released a report, that is SDG India Index, and that is based on NIF. What was NIF? National Indicator Framework. Who had given that framework? So that was given by MOSPI. What is MOSPI? That is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Now who released this global index? So it is UN SDSN. What is SDSN? Sustainable Development Solution Network. What is India's performance? So India is on 94th position as per this recent index. Next is Lonar Lake. So it is in Maharashtra, and why it was in news? Because of the rising water level in this lake, and because of that the nearby temples are being submerged. Please understand, it is formed by a meteorite impact. In a very simple sense, something from outside that entered in the earth atmosphere, and subsequently that was dropped here, and because of that impact there was a lake, and subsequently because of rainfall the water was deposited in that lake. So that is the Lonar Lake in Maharashtra. Next is Mount Erebus. So it was in news because of the emission of the gold particles during the volcanic eruption. Now let's have a look at this. So this is how it looks, and when it comes to the geographical location, so this is Antarctica. Basically these are major volcanoes of Antarctica, and this is Mount Erebus. That is the geographical location. Next is related to World Bank. So previously World Bank had announced various climate related targets, but USA had decided to withdraw from various targets, and USA decided to quit the Paris Agreement as well. So subsequently World Bank has dropped those co-benefit climate related targets. In a very simple sense, now they are saying we won't have that much support, we won't have that much financial resources. Now understand, in this case the requirement is that developing countries are saying that we need 1.3 trillion annually in climate finance by 2035. Developing countries are saying developed countries had used resources, they have basically polluted the environment, and now they are preaching others to not to use their resources. So developing countries are demanding two things from the developed: A, finance; B, technology. What is the demand of the finance? Countries like India are saying that we need $1.3 billion annually after by 2035. Right now it is roughly $300 billion. So you can understand the difference, 300 versus 1.3 trillion dollars. Next is related to Indian dory. So recently it was in news because it is a new deep sea fish which was discovered, and it was found on the slope of the Lakshadweep Sea. This is related to the production of the green ammonia and methanol. So the Indian company, that is ACME Group, you need not to mug up the name, but you need to understand the concept, that has signed a deal with the Japanese companies for the production of the green ammonia and methanol. Okay, now how green ammonia is produced? So it is produced through Haber-Bosch process using renewable hydrogen and nitrogen, and that's why the name green is there. When it comes to green methanol, it is produced from low carbon sources like biomass. Again, that's why the name green. Next is related to Borjoli wetland. So this wetland is in Assam and this was recently notified as a biodiversity heritage site. Okay, and this is known for the wild rice variety. Now understand, when it comes to wetland, we have Ramsar Convention. Ramsar is a name of place in Iran. As of now, we have 100 wetland sites. The most recent wetland site is Jayaprakash Narayan. This location is situated in Uttar Pradesh. This Jayaprakash Narayan Bird Sanctuary, it is also known as Surha. Next is related to Himalayan pangolin. So it is confirmed that it is different from Chinese pangolin. Now understand, pangolin are known for their olfactory bulb through which they can smell the insect and they can hunt the insect and termites. So this is how they look. Next news is related to CAFE norms. So what is the full form of CAFE? It is Corporate Average Fuel Efficiency Norm. In a very simple sense, it is regarding the fuel utilization by the vehicles and subsequent emission by the vehicles. So recently, Ministry of Power proposed a carbon credit trading scheme for this entire initiative. In a very simple sense, now government is saying that you need to cut down the emission from the vehicle. On the other hand, understand, the car makers are saying that if we will cut down the emission, we will have to upgrade the technology, which will increase the cost, which will basically adversely impact the demand, because now if the cars will be costly, people will buy less. So that is the entire controversy. Next news is related to the society section. So in that, first is empowering the person with disabilities in India. Basically Divyangjan, we are talking about Divyang people. For that, there is a legislation, Person with Disabilities Act, or Right of Person with Disabilities Act of 2016. It recognized the 21 type of disabilities. As per the census 2011, roughly 2.68 crore people are differentially abled people. In this case, there is a Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan itself. So basically we are talking about the accessible India. Next news is related to the use of social media and the child sexual exploitation. So in that context, the government had issued notice to the Meta. Now understand, as far as this is concerned, please remember we have a POCSO. What is POCSO? That is Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012. The section 15 of this POCSO, it criminalizes the storage and possession of the child sexual abuse material. Now what is happening is that these social media platforms are being used for the promotion of this kind of material. Government is saying that you need to track this kind of material. Social media platforms are saying that we cannot track this much content because it is next to impossible for us. Otherwise, we will be like super censor. So this is the kind of term which they have used, super censorship. In a very simple sense, they are saying that if we are going to track each and everything, we have to decide whether it is violating the rules and regulation or not. So technically that will go against the freedom of speech and expression. So that's why it is quite controversial. Now in that context, two important concepts are there. One is this safe harbor. So government is saying that social media intermediaries, they are protected from the liability as long as they follow the guidelines. But if they fail to do so, action will be taken against them. For that purpose, there is a Sahyog portal as well. What is the objective of that portal? Government agencies are going to issue orders related to take down of the content through that portal. So that is why it was in news. And last news is related to Changpa community. So this is a community in Ladakh and this is known for the Pashmina shawl. So basically they are semi-nomadic and that is in Changthang Plateau. So they rear Changthangi goat and these goats are used for the production of the famous Pashmina wool, which is used for the Pashmina shawl. So now government is focusing on the value chain so that we can basically create a proper supply chain of this thing. And that is why this was the news. With this, we have covered the current affairs of July first week. The PDF of this lecture is uploaded in your dashboard. Apart from that, at the end of the month, you will get the questions related to each topic so that you can practice those questions. And you need not to make any current affairs notes. So what we are doing, we are covering the Vision IAS. We are covering the Drishti topics as well. We are covering the PIB. PIB video is already there. Questions will be posted soon. PDF is already there. Okay, so you are supposed to just focus on the content which is provided in your dashboard and your current affairs problem is sorted. Just stick to that plan. Do not worry about multiple sources. Just stick to these two sources and rest everything will be taken care of by me. Thank you, and that's all for today.